that again.
Everybody loves Ringo, man. Come on.
Yes.
And by the end of this thing, everybody might only be loving Ringo because Ringo's doing okay, man. Like Ringo's out here, he's doing fine. Yeah. So, but it's not Ringo energy you're bringing in today, unfortunately. You got real stuff to talk about because that Vince McMahon docuseries they're really doing a lot of work to prepare for this Vince McMahon docuseries. I mean, yeah,
he had to fit in a few more chapters.
Every time Ryan Murphy fills up his notepad, he's like, "Damn it!" and throws it out.
Yeah,
and to,
there wasn't enough drama.
Yeah. So, all right, Connor, take it away. Where are we at right now?
So, if you've been following us over this past week, you know that Vince McMahon has officially been brought back in as the executive chairman of WWE. Stephanie McMahon, his daughter, has left as the CEO. Rumors on Tuesday night started spreading like wildfire that a deal in principle with the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund was already a done deal. That has been debunked, but by all indications, the Saudis are still very much in this race. Now, Matt, I wanted to take this segment to kind of break down the big names that keep getting brought up as potential bidders. Because over the last week, I've listened to a lot of industry experts, especially in the media world, try to argue which group makes the most sense. But they're coming at it from the perspective that Vince McMahon is a sane person. Here's the problem, is that is not the case. The case is this man held this company, effectively held them hostage.
Yeah.
Within the last month.
He blackmailed.
Put me back in a position of power or I will financially cripple this company. The moment he is reinstated, he changes the bylaws within the company to say, you cannot make a sale without my express approval. So no sales getting done now without Vince McMahon signing the dotted line. So as we go through each of these options, you need to keep in mind that Vince is going to not only favor what is most financially beneficial to him and the company, but also what is most likely to keep him in power. So the first one that keeps coming up is Endeavor. They bought the UFC a few years back for about $4 million. The price tag for WWE right now seems to be somewhere between $7 to $10 billion. So they would effectively have to pay double what they paid for the UFC. Obviously, if they bought them, they'd still need to work with different broadcasting companies to get new TV deals done. Interesting note about this one from the Hollywood Reporter. Apparently, the only way that they're interested in this deal is if Triple H sticks around. And so far, that is the only group that I've heard that says, we're not so much concerned about Vince as we want to make sure Paul Levesque is still with this company for the future. Next up is Comcast. That's NBC Universal's parent company. They obviously have the money. They have a long-standing history with the WWE right now between their deals for Peacock, NXT, and Raw. If they were to just effectively buy the company, they would honestly make back the money that they would have to pay out for whatever the next media rights deal is going to be. Yeah. Within the next decade, they would basically be like, oh, we've actually saved money by buying this thing for $10 billion. And obviously, I think of the big media conglomerates, they are the ones that are most likely to hold their nose and say, yeah, Vince, we know what you're dealing with right now. Yeah. We know what you've been accused of, but we've known you the longest, so we'll just keep this thing rolling. You've obviously made money for us already, so why rock the boat? Next up is Disney. Now, our very own Jim Viscardi has publicly defended this idea. And his argument is that Bob Iger's signature move, his finishing move, if you will, is that Bob Iger loves to buy brands. And in theory, buying the WWE, having their weekly television programs along with their monthly pay-per-views would breathe new life into ESPN, that whole side of the company that is hurting. Here's the problem. The other thing Bob Iger loves is protecting the Disney brand. And the first thing he would want to do, most likely, is get Vince McMahon out, which is a problem for Vince and makes him less likely to actually want to sign on. If all the deals are comparable and Disney's like, yeah, ours is along the same lines as Comcast, but you don't get to stay, Vince is going to say, okay, I'm looking elsewhere. Sorry. Next up is Amazon. They're obviously getting into the live sports realm. They got Thursday Night Football. God bless you if you had to sit through any of those games, but they obviously have the infrastructure. Of the tech companies that keep getting mentioned, I think that one is the most likely. The other big streaming company is Netflix. They're always threatening to get into the world of live sports and entertainment, but nothing has really materialized yet. And their first experience with actual live programming is that Chris Rock special that's coming up. And it's a pretty big jump from one comedy special to hours of weekly television and pay-per-views on a monthly basis. You can ask Peacock just how much of an overload it is for, a million some odd people to try and all get on at once and get access to a live stream.
Yeah.
Then there's the Khan family. This one popped up yesterday.
There's no way that
Of the names, it is the least likely. Do they have billions? Yes. Would they would have to partner up with another financial partner to do it. And then the question is, why would you want to merge these two when you already have the second biggest promotion in the world for not nearly the same price tag as the first one?
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, there's the Saudi Arabia. There's the nation of Saudi Arabia. They obviously have the money. They are the most likely to add in a few billions to sweeten the deal on top of what anybody else tries to offer. They would be the most hands off and let Vince operate by himself, as he's always wanted to do. The only issues with that one are that some companies will want to back out and separate themselves from the WWE if they are bought by Saudi Arabia. And it's also a question of, would the next media rights deal become a completely different situation if suddenly they're owned by this nation? If you need an example, look at what's happening with Live Golf. They could not land a TV deal despite big stars they were signing. So they're currently in a situation where they're the ones paying Fox Sports to put them on TV. And in most cases, it's supposed to be the other way around. The network is supposed to be paying you for the content. Do the Saudis have deep enough pockets where that might not necessarily be an issue? Sure. But then it's an issue of how many wrestlers want to stick around. Plenty, will swallow their pride and sign on the dotted line and make all that extra money. Others might not. And some who are out in the free agent market or in other companies will suddenly not be so incentivized to want to go back to WWE because A, you've got to deal with all of the moral political issues that come with that. And B, if it all but assures that Vince McMahon is back in power, the folks that wanted to jump back to go work with Triple H, suddenly, how much longer are we waiting for that to actually be a reality?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about all of that?
Well, I agree with you. I think Disney, because of those issues, because of Vince, if Vince was not involved, there's a shot. Absolutely. Because ESPN, they used to work together. Then that kind of fell apart. That was a big deal when that fell apart. Then ESPN got into a deal with UFC, and then there was a lot of stuff. But they've missed that. Like there is a whole chunk of programming that they don't really mess with or reporting stuff they would love to get back into. That would be huge. But I agree. There's no way Bob Iger touches Vince McMahon-led WWE with a 10-foot pole. Like that's not happening. I agree with you too on Saudi, because that could very well happen, but I do think that will affect the media rights deals in a negative way. And that's what Vince says, like, oh no, I'm going to lead with this is a huge time. That would be the first of many missteps. Right. I think NBC, I think that like Comcast makes the most sense. Because they already have so many deals. Like, yes, they have it with Fox as well, but they only have a small, even though it is the A show, they only have that one thing, like stuff built around that.
And the big difference between the NBC situation and Fox is that NBC has a ready-made streaming platform. Fox doesn't. So what would their answer be for pay-per-views?
And they already have it built in. We've already been serving you for however long. It was rocky at first. It's worked itself out. Peacock stuff is pretty reliable now. Now NXT is doing their, premium live events on there too. Like there's so much built in. And I agree with you. They worked with Vince for years. They can they're going to turn away from the stuff that is not great and be like, we're fine. I think they're the most likely of this. That is if he's going to sell. I'm still not entirely sold. He didn't make that all up just to get back on here and not sell. So I agree. I think that's the one. I'm sorry, Jim. I don't think Disney's going to happen. I would actually think it would be awesome if that happened, but I don't think it's going to. And I think that would also be the lesser of all the evils of this possible scenario. So I'm kind of pulling for that.
If you're a fan, start rooting for Comcast. It's the boring option, but it's also the option that doesn't make you go, I feel bad about talking about and watching this product now.
Yeah, I agree.
This used to be simple math. The fans show up, the wrestlers entertain, the fans pay to see them, the wrestlers get paid, everybody's happy. When we started adding in countries with very questionable human rights policies and certain accusations, we've taken simple math and we've muddied the waters, and it's no fun. Wrestling's supposed to be fun. Root for the fun option, guys.
I agree.
Not the one that will all make us go, how do I feel about this?
I agree. I think root for the fun option is the best way to tagline. I think that's the best way. Anything else you want to catch us up on before we?
Royal Rumble's coming up. I don't know if you know this, but there is still weekly professional wrestling going on. Obviously, we're going to have full coverage of that coming up here at the end of the month. If you're not following our Dynamite coverage right now, AEW is on a bit of a hot streak. I think this most recent episode was one of the best they've done, period. And follow us over on TikTok, because if you do, good things will happen.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.